on Salam Media.
By the way, do you know what day today is? It's World Earth Day. It's the one day in the year there's a massive emphasis on looking after our Earth, which, in the light of the COVID issue, we tend to forget that there are big issues around global gas emissions, and basically our Earth is becoming rather rotten. The land we live on, and you may know from an Islamic perspective, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a huge emphasis on protecting the environment. Even then, so if you're following the Sunnah, in fact, you will protect the environment, and maybe play greater emphasis on what it means here on World Earth Day. Google some information, see what it says, see how you can emulate that, because that's what you need to be doing. Okay, let's talk business with the strategist, and that's Abdullah Verachia, author of Disruption Amplified. But he delivers global strategy in business in particular. Abdullah, good chatting to you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Ashraf. It's good to be with you. Good to be with your listeners again.
Yeah, okay. Let's just see if I'm sort of semi-connected with you. You're there, Abdullah?
Yes, I am, Ashraf. It's good to be with you and your listeners.
Perfect. Thank you. Right. Okay, what do you want to talk about today?
So I realized that you were talking about mentorship, and I thought let's further that conversation that you had with your earlier guest and really start to think about mentorship from a business perspective. And having listened into that conversation, I think from a business perspective, there are two very important traits in terms of how we think about mentorship in terms of business. The one is I often meet people who try and go to a mentor that's had significant success in a business environment and then wants to try and replicate that success. And the reality is that your business, your environment, your context, your financial position is very different. And so in effect, you need a mentor that's going to be an honest mirror rather than somebody who's going to give you a rosy picture. And one of the things we try and do at business schools is, yes, to talk about the success of business, but also to talk about failure in business, to talk about businesses that have had significant struggles, because that's when it becomes particularly difficult, when you're struggling with, as we discussed in the first week, cash flow, when you've got a tough economic environment like what we had in 2020, when perhaps you've got a competitor that's opened up very close to you and you're struggling in terms of volume. And so part of a mentor in business is somebody who perhaps will give you a very honest reflection. You might not like that reflection, but I think the honesty is what will give you the direction that your business needs.
And again, that mentor is not somebody that works in the same business as you, right? Like the senior person. It's not that, right?
100%. I think it has to be somebody outside of the business. I often say that in my work as somebody who helps companies build strategy, it's much easier to be able to come in because I've got a helicopter view. I'm standing on the balcony. I'm able to see the entire context of the whole. And so I'm non-emotional in that business, firstly. Number two, I'm able to connect the dots. Number three, I'm not involved in the politics and day-to-day challenges of that business. And so I'm devoid of it. Number four, because I'm looking at it from another perspective, I'm not vested in the business. I don't have some of the contextual challenges that somebody who's in the business has. And so I'm definitely going to recommend that if you look at a mentor, get somebody who's outside of the business, somebody who doesn't have the emotion, the financial link and relationship, the contextual challenges of politics that are prevalent in almost every organization, so that the person can give you a objective, non-emotional, outside view of somebody looking through the window. I often talk about it as somebody who's looking through the window and gets a sense in terms of what's happening in the house.
Okay, so I put that question to Imran Chunara, but I'll put it to you as well. But from a business perspective, how do you know that mentorship relationship is working out?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ashraf. I think you've got to get a mentor that obviously has the requisite time to be able to commit to you. So somebody who has the time availability to commit to your business and to walk the journey with you. You've got to have a relationship with somebody where there's mutual trust and respect, somebody who's able to be honest with you and you don't take it personally. Thirdly, somebody who understands business, somebody who understands the financial matrix, the human capital matrix, context around marketing and brand. And if they don't understand some of these challenges, because not everybody or nobody really is what I call a Kia, know-it-all, but somebody who can open up the social capital, who can link you to networks. And so that's the third. And then fourth, perhaps somebody who's been in the trenches, somebody who's been on the battlefield of business, who's got the scars in terms of having been in business and understands the dynamics of both challenges and opportunities. And then lastly, I think the pressure test is, are they adding value in terms of the advice that they're giving to my business or to me personally? Am I able to apply that directly into the organization that I run or that I work for?
Who's your mentor?
Professor Nick Bernadelle at Gibbs, somebody who I do a lot of work with, somebody who's, I think, brilliant in terms of the work that he does. So I spent a lot of time with him. Yeah.
And I would suggest, as we leave it at that, people need to Google more about Professor Nick Bernadelle. I think the founder of the Gordon Institute of Business Science, right? And I've had the privilege of interviewing him, and definitely, you're right, one of the brightest minds I've met in the country. So if you got him as a mentor, goodness, you've got like a head start to win the game of business in life. Abdullah, great chatting to you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Ashraf. A pleasure.
There we are. Disruption Amplified is his book, which I would strongly recommend you read. But he's, in terms of what he does, he's a strategist. So just check it out. The Strategist is his company. Okay, we'll have more from him as well, hopefully sometime tomorrow. Right, that's my point coming up in a moment.
This is the Ashraf Garda